Hello everyone, Little Victory Sports Cards here, and I just want to say Merry Christmas to you all. I hope you're all having a healthy and safe and happy holidays so far. Today I don't have a reveal for you, surprisingly. I couldn't sleep last night, so I just wrote down some tips, from my grading experience. I've been doing this so long. I just want to help you guys out. So today I'm going to give you 5 good tips that have used throughout the years, and hopefully they'll resonate with you guys and you can think about it during the holidays, and it'll help you make some money or enjoy grading even more. So let's start with number 5. All right, my number 5 is don't sell your nice raw cards. Cards that look like Gem 10s. So each time you get back from a card show or your local card shop, and you went through all those dollar quarter boxes, sit down when you get home, sit down under a nice lamp and go through each card, and then tuck away the mint ones, the one that look like mint, gem mints, and put them into a 2-row box and don't sell them. You can go ahead and sell the ones that don't make the cut, and then rinse and repeat. Keep adding to that 2-row of nice condition cards and, never sell them in raw form for the time being. Then when it's time to grade some cards, then go to that box, and pick out the cards that you think you want to grade that are valuable at the time. And then when it's, when a player starts performing well, go to that box. Or when a player is ready to make the Hall of Fame, go to that box. Or a player wins a big award or a finals, try to find those players in that box and start grading them. So, and then here I have I'd say about six 2-rows of really good cards that I'm thinking about grading. So what I just told you, I've been doing for, 10, 15 years. So you can kind of get a feel of what cards I like to send in. You've seen my reveals a lot, So this is just an example of what I put in my 2-row boxes. And when it's time to grade, I have fun. I go through each box and pick out the ones I want to grade. So you can kind of get a feel for what I like. They're loaded. I love it. And these ones are all, I would say, mint or better, And people ask me where did I get all these cards? So like I said, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I've been doing it a little more, as a career for about 10 to 12 years. But I started off I'd go to the card shows a lot. Before I had kids and a wife and stuff, I had more time. So I would go out and buy collections around Oregon. I'd go to the card shows and really grind it out all day, spend the day on those $quarter boxes. And, honestly, I'm a little bit of a card hoarder, so I would just stick away those collections. I wouldn't sell a lot of it, and that's why I have so many cards that I think are, depending on the grading price, are worth sending in down the road, So there you go. And this is fun for me. I love looking through these and getting some of these graded down the road. So there, you can kind of see all these. So that's what my advice is. After you get back from the shows, sit down, piece them out, keep the mint and gem mint ones, and grade them down the road. And I would say every 2 or 3 years or so, then it start to maybe gut the box, weed out the players that didn't exactly pan out, or that kind of stuff. And most likely, if you haven't graded them in, I don't know, 3 to 5 years, then they probably aren't worth grading. But that's my advice. Keep those raw cards. Don't sell them, especially, if you're looking to grade. All right, let's move on. All right, number 4 tip is grade proven players. I don't do a ton of prospecting. It makes me nervous, and it makes me cringe sometimes seeing some of these younger people invest so heavily in these quarterbacks that aren't going to pan out. Example, Baker Mayfield, or going a little further back, Andrew Luck, who even, he had a good career, but he suddenly retired. So anything can happen. So watch out investing too much in these prospects that are unproven. A lot of these prices for them are just already baked in, that they won finals, that they won so many Pro Bowls or rewards. They haven't yet. So just be cautious is my advice. I do more proven players. And one example in my tip is grade future Hall of Famers. You don't want to be stuck with a bunch of Kobe Whites or Baker Mayfields or Matt Harveys. I go ahead and grade. I do some research. I Google, each major sport, baseball, basketball, and football. And I Google who are the finalists that are, first-time nominees too. I look all that up, and I see who has a chance at making the Hall of Fame for that year. So this year, upcoming, 2023, let's do an example. Let's look at the football. So they start off with semifinalists, then it kind of gets down to finalists, and then you're elected, hopefully. So the first time nominees for this year there's quite a few players, but the main ones, I'll just tell you the main ones, are Dwight Freeney, James Harrison, Joe Thomas, and Darrelle Revis, okay? So I would say out of the first-timers, the shoo-in, I think, is Joe Thomas, okay? Joe Thomas, man, his career wasn't that long. I think he played maybe 10 years-ish, but he was a Pro Bowl, I think, each year he played, which is insane. So I think he is a lock this year. So all the other players, I won't give you a lock on because it's kind of up in the air. I'll go through more of the players, but Joe Thomas, I think it's a lock. I think you start grading his cards. Yeah, there you go. So the other big names that are in the semifinalists right now are, I'll go over some of them. I just pulled them out of some of those 2 rows. Devin Hester, I think he should be a Hall of Famer, but he was on mainly special teams and a wide receiver, so it's harder for wide receivers to get in to the Hall, and especially special teams. So I don't think he's going to quite get in this year. But then we have some more solid players. DeMarcus Ware. I think he might get in this year. I have a feeling about DeMarcus Ware. Patrick Willis. I was a little surprised he didn't get in last year. Another guy with a short career. He retired a little early, but man, he was a beast. Solid player. What we got? Torrey Holt is up for. We got all these Holts. These are fun. But again, a wide receiver, a little harder for them. Same with Andre Johnson. James Harrison. Like I said, he's a kind of first-timer, so I don't quite put him in yet. And he didn't have a ton of big stats, like, really a lot of stats throughout his career. His prime was incredible, but it was shorter than most. Zach Thomas, he didn't have a ton of rookie cards. This one looked gradable. I was looking at it earlier. Dwight Freeney, I think, Anquan Bolden, Hines Ward, Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne. So a lot of good wide receivers. I think a couple of them will pop in. Some other big names I was looking at the list, other than the players you just saw, are Fred Taylor, Rondé Barber, Jared Allen, players like that. So yeah, that is my advice. You check who's in the upcoming ballot for each of the big sports, and there's definitely a spike price increase when they get the nod, if they get the nod. And it usually lasts like a month. So there's your window. Sell at that time. Good luck. All right, we're rolling. My number 3 tip is don't be in a hurry or a rush inspecting your cards before grading, pre-grading. Pre-grade each one and don't be in a rush, okay? Take your time and care, and it's your hard-earned money. It costs a lot to grade a card. Even at its lowest right now is probably about $15 per card. That's a big investment. So take your time and make it worth it, and put in the work. I always recommend inspecting each potential card on 3 separate occasions. So, for example, this is a stack of cards that I hope to send in. I'm hoping, the PSA had their monthly special was $15 per card, which was great, but it was the year 1996 and above, so kind of the more modern cards. These are still modern, but usually from the years 85 to 95, so I'm hoping that they have a special for those years. So I went ahead and went through my 2 rows and got out all the potential cards from like 1980 to 1995 that I wanted to grade. I've been wanting to grade for $15, if not hopefully cheaper. You can kind of see they look so nice. That's a fun looking card. Even these Deons, they sell for $75 for a PSA 10. That was a good looking Jack Morris rookie. That's just a cool image of Jeter. Look how sharp that Cliff Johnson. So you can kind of see. So what I'll do is on 3 separate occasions, I'll inspect these and make sure they are worth grading. And that part is really fun for me. I don't mind putting in that work. It's really fun. So, and plus, the time in between those gaps, it gives you the chance to really think about and reevaluate if that player card is truly worth grading. When I first started, I used to be in such a hurry, not putting in the work, going over each card. And when you think about it, you're in control of how much money you can make grading a card. So, and that's what I love about grading. It's your knowledge you've built and time you've spent. All that equals more money you will make down the road. And with each submission, your grading eye gets better and better. So keep submitting. My advice, keep submitting regularly too. Honestly, it's like a muscle. Keep working it out, and it'll stay sharp and get even better over time. So that is my advice on that one. Inspect your cards, put the work in. All right, my number 2 tip is break up your orders. Break up your subs. So what I'm saying is, don't send in like 300 or 500 cards in at once, all in that one same sub. Trust me, you don't want to get stuck with a tight, bad or inexperienced grader for the whole order. As long as humans are grading the cards, it will be subjective. So each grader has a different eye, different belief, amount of experience, knowledge of each set, knowing the nuances of each set. Plus, graders are like us. They are only human, so they're not exactly making millions, and they're dealing with the same stuff we are. They're dealing with maybe stressful financial responsibilities, crazy kids, health problems, relationship problems. There's so many factors that can play a part into what grade you can get on a certain day. So people ask me if I'd prefer that, AI. Do I prefer AI eventually down the road over human grading? And I'd still say no. So I think AI wouldn't do a good job picking up you know, on those subtle differences of each set, or each card stock, or each unique condition sensitivity, you know. Every set's so different in my opinion, and every year is so different. So I personally like knowing that it's in the hands and eyes of hopefully experienced and fair human graders. So you're gonna have good orders, you're gonna have bad orders. You just take the good with the bad, and over time I think it all kind of evens out. So break up your orders is my advice. So take, for example, this one I hope to send in. I would probably, you know, obviously I get them all in the semi-rigids here. And then what I usually do when they're all ready is then just make 2 stacks. Flip them over. Boom. Boom. Looks like that, you know. Go from there. And then create an individual sub for that, an individual sub for that. Send them in. I even send them in separately too. And go from there. So that's my number 2 advice. Let's go for number 1. All right, my number 1 is keep your undergraded cards. Don't sell them. So for example, you get your sub back and you're all excited, and you open them, and go ahead and inspect each slab and see why they gave the grade they did. And for all those kind of mint 9s, or even near mint to mint 8s, look them over, and if they look really nice and you're like, man, I don't know how they gave me that grade, it should have been a 10, it should have been 10. If you're convinced it should be a 10, you really look it over, you know, those 9s look like 10s, then don't sell that card. You don't want to get that mint 9 value. You want to get that gem 10 value, right? So keep it. And a perfect example, really, you might have seen it. So you can see I had a crack out video. I do, like I said, I practice what I preach here. So I always, after I get my subs back, I keep the 9s that look like 10s, and I'll keep it and crack them out down the road. You maybe seen that video. And in that video, I actually had a mint 9 Howie Long that I had for years, and I think I cracked it out at a previous time, and it still got a 9, but I was still convinced. So I cracked it out again recently, and that was the video you saw, and the results were incredible. I got the gem mint 10, and I'm so happy I did at that time, because it was valued at around 900 bucks, and I ended up selling that card, gosh, within the week after I listed it, and I got $925 for it. So had I not have kept it all those years, or sold it when I first got that mint 9, I probably would have sold it for 40 bucks. Back then it was probably valued at 30 or 40 bucks. So hanging on to it paid off over time, and eventually I got that 10, and I am still convinced it was a 10. It was beautiful. This is just an example of it I had. You can see it has I call this a tilt center. I mean, look at this. It's such a clean card, this one, but the top is nice 50-50, as you can see. But then look at the bottom centering, thinner on the left, way thick on the right. So that tilt cut, it's very common in the 80s, but anyway. So yeah, keep those 9s. Another good example I have that I love collecting, I have a set going on the registry, is these 86 Fleer basketballs. There's so many good rookies, and obviously the Jordan rookie year. But over the years, I've always kept the nice 9s, like this Olajuwon rookie. Look at it. Are you guys seeing this? It's 50-50 centering. Beautiful card. So nice. I've cracked it probably once or twice and still received 9s, so I will still keep it, and hope eventually it'll get a 10 down the road. I just love the look of it. I have a Drexler too that just is so nice. Just beautiful card. Perfectly centered up. The back looks great. I don't know what they're seeing. You know, it could even be potential pop control of these, especially this year, because a lot of people send these in. This is Magic Johnson. Man, look at this. Such a nice card. Joe Dumars again. I couldn't live with myself selling these mint 9s and getting mint 9 prices. Here's a Merino. It's so flawless, other than one little mark right there. I think that's the only thing bringing it down. And a couple Elways. I mean, look at these. So yeah, so that's my advice on that one. You know, I also, if you're at card shows or whatever and you see, you know, more card shows sell slabs nowadays. So look at those mint 9s, and if it looks like a 10 at the show, go ahead and buy those mint 9s. Copies where you can tell they have a chance or a shot at getting a gem 10 if you crack it out down the road. And really, those cards are worth buying. Those mint 9s that look like 10s. I call these cards phantoms because they're the PSA 9.5s of the world if they existed. You know, on any given day, phantoms can get you a gem 10 or a mint 9, depending on the grader. So if you have that phantom, that PSA 9.5, keep it and crack it out later down the road and grade it again with PSA or another grading company. It's, you know, it's always nice to have two sets of eyes on it, and I would say SGC or Beckett BGS is a good secondary grading company to use. So good luck with that. I hope these tips have been helpful or at least fun to watch. I should have a lot more reveal videos upcoming, and another tip video, definitely more tip videos in the new year, especially on centering and measuring and all that kind of stuff. So keep locked on my channel, and thank you for viewing, and again, Merry Christmas.